In a tower of polished marble and spotless ambition, a laugh echoes, sharp, arrogant, echoing from the top floor. It drips down the stairwells, slides through the vents, and lands where Maya Carter kneels, scrubbing the company's emblem off the floor. She hears it clearly. Richard Hale, the CEO, laughs from behind his glass wall, amused that the janitor dared to hum a tune while cleaning. He calls it music for the underpaid. His words are light, but they sting like acid. Maya doesn't flinch. Her hands keep moving in rhythm, but her mind burns quietly. She knows more about this building's systems than anyone above her ever will. And one day, when the glass breaks, so will their illusions of who she really is. The world inside that building runs on invisibility, the kind that wears uniforms, carries buckets, and moves quietly before sunrise. To most, Maya is background noise, a fixture that makes their mornings smoother, but beneath her silence is a mind dissecting patterns, memorizing reports left open on desks, and noticing the flaws in the company's data that others miss. Every step she takes is a calculation, every sigh a suppressed question. How far could she go if anyone ever saw her beyond the muck? When the elevator doors close, she sometimes imagines they open somewhere else. A world where brilliance doesn't need permission. She's seen the CEO's presentations, the numbers he brags about, the errors he never notices. Her eyes catch the inconsistencies like stars in darkness. But the building's hierarchy is designed to keep her hands wet and her voice quiet. So she files away every observation in her head, quietly building a secret empire of understanding. Late that night, the offices sleep under blue light. Maya stays behind, not cleaning, but studying. The discarded reports she collects tell a story of inefficiency, corruption, and ignorance. On a forgotten company laptop, she begins constructing something powerful. An algorithm that can predict financial collapse before it happens. Her fingers move quickly, driven by both anger and brilliance. The same woman the CEO mocked now plays with the tools of a future he'll never understand. By morning, the laughter returns. The CEO cracks jokes about people who should know their place. The board laughs too. But something has shifted. Something invisible, quiet, and unstoppable. Beneath their laughter, inside their own systems, her creation has already taken root. What they see as background noise is becoming the heartbeat of a revolution. And while they sip coffee and trade arrogance, Maya Carter sharpens the weapon they'll never see coming. The building hums with ordinary rhythm, meetings, emails, and shallow laughter. But something invisible is now alive within its systems. Maya's code moves like a whisper, scanning financial flows, predicting downturns before they hit. She watches from the sidelines as the first alert appears on a manager's screen. A red flag that saves the company hundreds of thousands overnight. No one knows where it came from. The CEO credits his brilliant analytics team, his pride swelling while Maya silently empties the trash beside him. Yet, even as he brags, she smiles faintly, knowing truth doesn't always shout. It calculates, observes, and waits for its moment. They call it a miracle algorithm. And the board buzzes with speculation about which department built it. The IT director denies involvement, finance claims ownership, and the CEO takes full credit, his ego inflating like glass ready to shatter. Meanwhile, Maya continues her work, refining, improving, perfecting her creation each night when the lights go out. She doesn't crave applause. She craves accuracy, proof that intelligence can rise from anywhere, even from hands that smell of bleach and soap. For the first time, the silence of her labor feels like power. But power rarely hides forever. Alyssa Stone notices the patterns, the unique coding style, the timestamps matching Maya's shifts. She watches the janitor moving through the cubicles at night, her eyes sharp, curious, almost reverent. Alyssa doesn't expose her. She starts leaving subtle notes. You're seen. Keep going. They don't deserve your genius. Each note becomes a spark of trust in a place built on hierarchy. Maya, for the first time, feels something she hasn't in years. She's not entirely invisible anymore. As weeks pass, the company's numbers climb, and so does the CEO's arrogance. He appears on news broadcasts, bragging about innovation and leadership, never once mentioning the nameless soul cleaning the same floor he walks on. Maya watches the broadcast from a reflection in the marble, each lie echoing like static. But her silence is no longer submission, it's calculation. Because what he's building on stolen credit is fragile, and the truth she carries is the quiet countdown to his collapse. Late one night, the algorithm makes a discovery. A pattern too precise to ignore. Hidden transactions, disguised transfers, discrepancies that point to something sinister in the CEO's reports. Maya's breath catches. It's fraud. Layers of deceit disguised as strategy. She sits in silence, the glow of the monitor reflecting both fear and purpose. For years, she scrubbed away other people's messes. Now, for the first time, she holds the power to clean something far dirtier. The corruption sitting comfortably above her. Morning rises like glass, bright, fragile, and cold. The company erupts with celebration after the system saves them from a multi-million-dollar loss. News spreads, and reporters want to know who created it. The CEO, immaculate in his confidence, smiles before cameras, claiming it was his vision, his leadership, his team. Behind him, Maya polishes the chrome railing, watching her work paraded under another man's name. Her face reveals nothing, but her silence feels like thunder building behind clouds. Each lie is a match dropped in a dry forest. And deep within her, the fire begins to catch. Alyssa stands by, watching as the CEO drinks in the applause meant for someone else. Her eyes dart toward Maya, and in that unspoken glance, understanding passes between them. Alyssa knows the truth now. This invention doesn't carry the fingerprints of privilege. It bears the precision of hunger, late nights, and invisible labor. After the cameras fade, she slips into the break room where Maya sits alone, staring into the dark surface of her coffee. No words are exchanged, but Alyssa's gentle nod says everything. I saw what you built, and I know who deserves the credit. The CEO's newfound fame swells until it begins to distort him. He starts demanding new results from the system. More accuracy, faster projections, endless success. But he doesn't understand how it works. He never did. The program starts to glitch under his forced meddling, issuing warnings that the finance team ignores. Maya watches from the shadows as her creation strains under greed's weight. She could fix it with a few keystrokes, but she doesn't. Sometimes truth must collapse under arrogance before it can be seen. That night, the office becomes a battlefield of conscience. Maya sits before the screen that once symbolized freedom and now feels like a burden. The data reveals patterns again. Irregular transfers, altered reports, digital fingerprints that lead back to one man. Every choice before her trembles with consequence. If she exposes him, she risks everything. Her job, her safety, her anonymity. But if she stays silent, she becomes an accomplice. The cursor blinks like a pulse on a flatline screen. Somewhere above, the hum of the city sounds like judgment. The next morning, the CEO boasts about another breakthrough, holding a shareholder meeting where he flaunts numbers Maya knows are false. She stands at the edge of the room, unseen, but listening. Each lie feels heavier than the last, pressing down on her chest until her breath trembles. And then, her resolve hardens. The humiliation that once silenced her now becomes her fuel. She knows what must come next. The truth won't whisper this time. It will roar. The office buzzes with the usual rhythm of blind ambition, Yet Maya feels the air thickening. Something restless moving beneath routine. She begins gathering fragments of proof, audit logs, emails, data traces that link directly to Richard Hale's private accounts. Each file feels heavier than the last, a truth too dangerous to hold yet too sacred to abandon. Alyssa helps quietly, slipping her access codes under the guise of teamwork. They don't speak of it, but the silence between them vibrates with shared risk. For every secret Maya uncovers, the world she's known begins to tremble closer to collapse. Maya spends her nights in the server room, her fingers dancing across keys as if conducting a symphony of revelation. Each keystroke exposes another thread of deception, another lie dressed in corporate polish. The servers hum like heartbeats. And for the first time, she doesn't feel like a janitor. She feels like the architect of justice. The fluorescent lights flicker above her, casting her shadow against the wall like the ghost of every ignored worker who came before her. In that cold room, she's not cleaning their empire anymore. She's rewriting its foundation. Richard begins to sense the unease. Files missing, numbers shifting. The facade he built now shows cracks like hairline fractures in glass. He lashes out in meetings, his charm fading into fury, suspicion turning his voice sharp. But arrogance blinds him. He looks everywhere for the enemy except down. Maya moves past him in the hallway, invisible as ever, yet carrying enough truth to destroy him. It's almost poetic, how the same blindness that made him laugh at her will now make him fall. Alyssa meets Maya on the rooftop at dusk, the city lights below flickering like confessions waiting to be spoken. The wind carries the scent of rain and risk. Alyssa pleads with her. This exposure could ruin them both. But Maya's voice, when it finally breaks the silence, is steady. She doesn't want revenge. She wants balance. She wants truth to stand taller than ego, even if it costs her everything. In that moment, she isn't just fighting for herself. She's fighting for every person who's ever been silenced, overlooked, or dismissed. The decision is made. The evidence is ready. The next board meeting will be the battlefield. Maya saves the final file on a flash drive, small enough to hide in her pocket, but powerful enough to upend an empire. As she walks out of the building, rain begins to fall. A cleansing, silent applause from the sky. The same elevator that once carried her dreams now carries her purpose. Tomorrow, when the doors open, she won't be entering someone else's world. She'll be reclaiming her own. The morning feels too calm, the kind of stillness that always comes before a storm. The boardroom glows with arrogance. Polished shoes, fake smiles, expensive pens clicking like metronomes of deceit. Richard Hale sits at the head of the table, radiating power he believes untouchable. Maya enters quietly, holding her flash drive as if it were a blade forged from truth. No one notices her at first. To them, she's still the woman who cleansed the floor. But today, she's here to clean something far greater. The meeting begins with laughter and self-congratulation. Richard brags about another profitable quarter, his voice filling the room like false thunder. When he finishes, Maya steps forward. The laughter fades into puzzled silence. Without a word, she inserts the flash drive into the projector. Numbers flood the screen. Transactions, timestamps, altered records. Every thread of deceit laid bare. Gasps fill the room as the data rewrites their illusion in real time. Richard's smile freezes, cracking like porcelain under heat. Maya finally speaks, her voice calm and steady. This is the truth your walls were built to hide. Panic ripples through the room like electricity through water. The board members scramble for explanations, their voices tripping over excuses and fear. Richard slams his hand on the table, accusing her of sabotage, of betrayal, of stepping beyond her place. But Maya doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Every document, every signature, every fraudulent transfer exposes him louder than any argument could. And as the evidence scrolls across the screen, it becomes clear the empire wasn't built on brilliance. It was built on theft. Security arrives. The board demands explanations, their tone shifting from accusation to fear. Maya steps back, letting the evidence speak. Alyssa enters the room quietly, holding a printed audit, one last nail in the coffin. She places it before the directors without a word. Richard's voice falters. His empire, his pride, his mask, all crumble at once. As guards escort him out, the silence that follows isn't relief, it's reckoning. Maya watches, not with vengeance but with calm. Justice, she realizes, doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it simply stands still and lets the guilty fall. The room empties slowly, leaving behind only Maya, Alyssa, and the faint echo of shattered arrogance. The board members, humbled, approach her, not with pity, but with respect. One asks how she built the system. Maya smiles gently, her eyes carrying both exhaustion and quiet triumph. By seeing what everyone else ignored, she says. Outside, the rain has stopped. Sunlight cuts through the clouds, glinting off the skyscraper like redemption itself. The empire has fallen. But something greater has risen in its place, truth carried by the woman they never thought to notice. Silence has replaced chaos. The building feels different now, lighter, yet still haunted by the echoes of everything that fell apart. Richard Hale's name is being erased from the plaques, the headlines, the history he once owned. Maya walks through the corridors that used to swallow her presence whole. Now, eyes follow her. Not with dismissal, but awe. The same executives who once passed her without a glance now stand when she enters. Yet inside she feels no triumph, only stillness. Justice is never clean. It leaves behind pieces of the war it fought to win. The board calls her into a meeting, not as staff, but as a visionary. They offer her a new role, a title heavy with recognition and expectation. Chief Innovation Officer, they say, as if the words could measure what she's done. She listens quietly, fingers interlocked, eyes distant. Titles are currency in their world. But to her, truth was always the greater reward. She doesn't answer right away. Instead, she looks out the window at the skyline. The same city that once hid her genius beneath its noise. The power they offer feels smaller than the freedom she's already found. That evening, she returns to the janitor's closet, the same small space where her journey began. The scent of cleaning supplies mixes with the faint hum of fluorescent light. She touches the broom handle, the mop bucket, each symbol of the invisibility she once wore like armor. And then she smiles, a quiet tear tracing down her cheek, not from sadness, but gratitude. Every humiliation, every ignored moment, every laugh she endured had sharpened her resolve. This closet, once her cage, had also been her laboratory, her sanctuary of silence, her birthplace of rebellion. Alyssa joins her later that night, bringing takeout and quiet company. They sit on the floor, sharing food between laughter and reflection. No grand speeches, no victory toasts. Just two women who refuse to stay silent. Alyssa tells her the board wants her to lead an entire division. Maya listens, then simply says, maybe leadership isn't always about taking the seat. It's about deciding who deserves to sit next. The words hang in the air, soft but powerful, the kind that linger long after sound fades. By morning, Maya makes her choice. She walks into the boardroom one last time, her footsteps steady, her expression serene. She declines the title, thanking them but explaining she's leaving to build something of her own. A company that sees beyond titles, accents, or uniforms. The directors stare, half in disbelief, half in admiration. As she leaves the tower, the lobby feels brighter, freer, as though the building itself exhales. Outside, the wind carries her reflection across the city's glass. A woman who was once invisible, now unforgettable. Weeks pass. And the world whispers her name, not in gossip or scandal, but in reverence. News outlets call her the silent innovator, the woman who rewrote the rules of corporate power without ever raising her voice. Yet Maya keeps her distance from the spotlight. While others chase recognition, she builds something quieter, purer, a company where potential isn't filtered by race, class, or uniform. Her first hires are janitors, assistants, and interns, those the world walks past without seeing. She gives them keyboards instead of mops, and belief instead of pity. One afternoon, she receives an email from a young woman working as a night cleaner in another firm. It reads, "You don't know me, but your story changed everything. I'm learning code now." Maya stares at the message for a long time, her chest tightening with a mix of pride and disbelief. Her fight was never about one man's arrogance. It was about breaking the silence that held too many hostage. She replies with just one line. "They'll underestimate you. Let them. That's where power begins." Meanwhile, Richard Hale's story unfolds differently. Stripped of title and privilege, he faces public disgrace, interviews turned into apologies, power turned into memory. Maya watches once, briefly, as he gives a televised statement about integrity. There's no anger left in her, only closure. The man who laughed at her job now stands before the same world, learning the weight of humility. And though she doesn't forgive his cruelty, she understands it no longer owns her. His downfall isn't her victory, it's her release. In her new office, a simple plaque hangs on the wall. Not an award, not a degree, but a handwritten note that reads, "Respect begins where judgment ends." Every decision she makes echoes that truth. The world measures success in titles and profit, but Maya measures it in voices restored, in eyes that look up instead of down. Her company becomes a refuge for brilliance long overlooked, a testament that genius doesn't wear a dress code. And in every meeting, every project, every late-night brainstorm, her presence reminds them, dignity can't be granted, it's claimed. Years later, Maya walks past her old building. The floors she once scrubbed now shine under new leadership, the marble cold but familiar. She stops at the entrance, remembering the laughter that started it all, the sound that once hurt, now meaningless in the wind. The camera lingers as she looks up, the city lights reflecting in her eyes like constellations of every soul who ever dared to rise. Her voice, steady and unbroken, closes the story. They thought my silence was weakness, but silence was where I was learning to roar.